Recently, we received news that Mindbender at Galaxyland in the West Edmonton Mall would be permanently closing after a prolonged period where the coaster was standing but not operating. This has left a lot of people very sad and disappointed that another classic Schwarzkopf will be biting the dust. However, there is one man who has already saved two Schwarzkopfs in his short time as a theme park operator, and that is the man, the myth, the legend, Gene frickin' Staples. Many are calling on him to try to save this beloved classic, which even with his history is a big ask. However, I do think there is a good possibility that Gene Staples at least decides to take a look at the coaster and may even consider taking this coaster on as his next big project. There is a lot to take into account with this ride, and we'll be discussing all that today. That said, if you'd like to see more content on Gene's parks such as Niagara Amusement Park, then do me a favor and subscribe to the channel for more videos coming soon. Also, if you'd like to see Gene buy this coaster, make sure to give this video a like as well. If you do that, there might be a shot that he actually sees this video and takes some of our ideas into consideration, providing that they make sense from a business perspective. That said, let's jump into the video. For starters, Mindbender was a 145-foot tall, 60-mile-per-hour indoor triple looping roller coaster. This coaster actually suffered a major accident back in 1986, only a year after it opened, when the back car of the coaster derailed, killing 3 people and causing many injuries. The coaster operated pretty well following this accident after some modifications were made, and operated up until 2020 or 2021, and then sat standing but not operating for a couple of years leading up to this announcement. There's no concrete reason on why the park decided to close the coaster, but we do know that the park is planning to replace this coaster with some family attractions. This coaster is by far the most thrilling attraction at the park, and they seem to be taking a more family-based route in the future, so it definitely makes sense from that perspective. The rumor is that the ride needed some parts and maybe it needed a big renovation, but there's really no telling if that's actually true or not. Now let's first discuss why there's a good chance this ride won't be saved by Gene. First off, this coaster is indoors and appears to have been built into the structure of the building, making relocation a challenge from an engineering standpoint. Also, the ride likely isn't in great shape after standing but not operating for a couple years, or else the park probably would have run it a little longer before announcing its closure, and it probably needs some work. We know that Gene and his chain owns 2 classic Schwarzkopf coasters, but neither have opened since they were acquired in 2021. Triple Loop, a mirror image of Mindbender that was formerly known as Chimera at La Feria Chapultepec Mexico in Mexico, has been constructed and repainted. However, this ride was completed nearly a year ago and the park is still working on trying to get it open, and it doesn't seem like it'll open for 2023. From what I've seen and heard, it appears that the structure needs work and the trains are also still being worked on. The other Schwarzkopf Gene owns is currently being stored at Niagara Amusement Park in New York. The coaster has been partly moved to the future site, but we haven't seen much action since the spring of 2022, and most of the ride still remains in the park's parking lot. It's suspected that the ride needs technical and or structural work, and no train has been spotted at the park. All of these reasons present a strong case that Gene will not acquire this coaster, but there are some counter arguments. I think that there's a small chance that Mindbender could be saved by Staples and IB. I think that the support issues could be overcome, as this is something that has also plagued Triple Loop, so I'm not convinced this would be the ultimate deterring factor. A big issue that I think would be a deterring factor is the potential large amount of work that could be required to get the ride up and running again. However, if Triple Loop opens, IB may have a good idea on how to refurbish the ride if they are interested in trying to do it again. Another good reason is that both Niagara Amusement Park and Clementon Park could use another big coaster. Clementon only really has Hellcat in terms of big coasters, and as of now, Niagara just has Silver Comet and an SDC Galaxy opening later this year called Serpent. This ride could be huge for both parks and would give them real attention in their respective markets. The biggest reason I could see Gene being interested in the ride is for the trains. Regardless of what happens to the ride itself, it was rumored to have 6 trains in order to keep the ride running year round, and that could be a massive help to the entire chain. If Gene could just get 1 or 2 of the trains to run on Triple Loop and or the Shuttle Loop, that could solve a huge potential problem they are having with those rides. Which leads me to my final prediction. I think that Gene Staples will likely reach out to Galaxyland about Mindbender and its condition, but I don't think he'll buy the ride. He's already got his hands full with 2 other Schwarzkopfs, and I don't think he's in a great spot to take out another project like this. However, I think he'll likely purchase some parts and possibly the trains to this coaster. I like the idea of this ride supporting Triple Loop and giving it the spare parts it needs to be able to operate successfully. I know the trains have been modified in the past, so the restraint and capacity situation isn't great, but all that matters is if it can help the coaster reopen, and if that answer is yes, that is a good thing. So those are my thoughts on the Mindbender situation and the prospects of Gene Staples acquiring the ride. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and make sure to do me a favor by liking this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more Niagara and IB videos coming soon. With that said, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.